A model that first debuted in the days of Meteoroth 3, returned with the 3D era and has stuck around ever since. It is TMN00 Not Touch, with a kit of triple Napalm, multi-legs, and the leg ability of Carrier, which grants a chance for an active debuff applied to self to be passed to the enemy when attacked. Now, as a model that's available in the Friend Point gacha of Meteoroth S, Not Touch is someone that you can essentially pick up at any time very casually, and you probably have already collected at least one part and probably not even noticed or paid attention to it, because, being honest, she does look rather forgettable at first glance, and her kit of triple napalm means she's definitely not going to be super great at consistent damage. But if used correctly, she can be made very useful for prepping targets for someone to come behind and finish the job. Napalm on all three of her parts is a gunpowder based skill that is also a scattered AoE, meaning it will damage one part normally when attacking the target, and then choose two others at random at a third of your damage each. Meaning that while Not Touch may not be very good for consistent damage, scattered damage and AoE damage means she's good at collateral prepping. So while she herself may not be super great or designed to fight on her own, say one or two uses of napalm and then come behind with someone such as, say, power hammer or rifle or pretty much anything else at that point, once the opponent is effectively been peppered with napalm fire, can clear the job and kill them much easier than it would be having to strong arm all the way through their armor by itself without Not Touch being there. Multi-legs means that Not Touch will have relatively solid, modest coverage across most terrains, arguably one of the next best under biped in many cases thanks to terrain compatibility, but the stats for Not Touch as a whole are kind of all over the place. Armor, when it comes to armor, she's packing about 3050 for her head, about 2800 per arm, and about 3600 for the legs. So her arms are definitely very squishy, but when it comes to female type bots like her, that's kind of par for the course. Whereas her head and legs may be just a little bit better, but not by much in many cases. And don't expect a very long extended fight from Not Touch while she's in the ring. Her leg stats are honestly kind of all over the place too, with the mobility of 619 kind of par for the course and essentially kind of an average for standard or easily obtained multi-leg, so nothing super great or powerful there. A shoot resist at 826 is not too shabby, but not super great either, as you generally want to stay around the 1000s range if you want to keep a relatively modest method of reducing damage. However, with a melee resist of 1078, it's just a little bit better in that case, as she'll be a little bit better up close and personal than she is from afar, but an evade of 574 definitely isn't great either. So, unfortunately, Not Touch, as rather unassuming as she looks, that's kind of the extent of what she brings to the table as well. That being said, as a pure set score, I do unfortunately have to rate Not Touch a pretty solid 4.5 out of 10. That's not to say that she's terrible, because if used correctly, Napalm can be a very dangerous skill, if not for killing, for prepping. And a leg ability of Carrier means that she can kind of bite back when it comes to enemies using negative ailments against her, but that does kind of require her to be attacked and inflicted with the ailments in order for that to actually work. In addition, if her legs are broken before she can pass along the ailment, she can't pass it on. So that kind of also defeats a very large reason and purpose of why she's there. As mixed parts, I do have to rate her just a hair higher at about a 5 out of 10, and that's being just a little bit generous if I'm honest. Again, not to say that napalm attacks or the leg ability of Carrier are bad, because she actually is moderately decent in the fact that her legs can support two heavy parts. But it is worth noting that, again, because she is a Friend Point gacha model, she is someone that you really shouldn't expect a whole lot from once you collect her.